right. Now let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons. And we had 3 mock drafts. And in the first mock draft, I threw out the idea, which at the time I think most people would have thought was a little, wow, really? You think so? Bijan Robinson, maybe all right, maybe it's not going to happen, but come on, it's possible. Then by the third and final mock draft, you went all in on Bijan Robinson, and you were 100% correct.
Yep.
So I laid out the pins, and you knocked them down.
Good job by us.
Yes.
So everyone that kind of killed us in the comments section, we will accept apologies in any way, shape, or form.
But it made sense.
It does make sense. And, I try not to get frustrated by many things. At the end of the day, this is a game, right? And we all don't know. But it bothers me that still to this day, there's this anti-running back top 10 crowd. I understand the philosophy of not doing it. I really do. But Bijan Robinson, you talk to any scout, any coach, any evaluator, this guy makes your football team better. No question. Are there other guys that could have made this team better? Absolutely. Are there running backs day 2, day 3 that were decent and they can help out this backfield? Yeah. But the problem with adding a running back day 2, day 3 to this Atlanta backfield is you're just adding to what's already there.
Yes.
You're not really solidifying anything. You don't walk away from the drafts knowing who your top guy is. Remember, Algier had a really good rookie season, a 5th-round pick.
You could have lived with that again if you wanted to, and it would have been okay.
And Arthur Smith, his best success in the NFL was having a bell cow back. Bijan is not Derrick Henry. They're not the same player. You're not going to give him 40 carries a game. And as much as Bijan is not Derrick Henry in that regard, Derrick Henry is not a quarter of what Bijan is as an athlete in space and as a receiver. And Arthur Smith, he knows how to build an offense around a running game. And look at this quarterback, Desmond Ridder. He's probably the biggest unknown at quarterback that's going to head into the 2023 season as a starter.
We knew that was a possibility, and maybe they get their guy next year. But they're going to give him a chance. This is his chance. He's going to get it, and I think he deserves it. After what he did in college, if there's any kid that gets drafted in that area on a team like Atlanta that deserves the chance, it's Desmond Ridder. Give him a shot.
Yeah. And, the last thing I'll say about Bijan, he fits that depth chart really well because these guys really complement each other. Between Robinson, Algier, and Cordell Patterson, those are 3 completely different backs. And it's not like you're just getting the same thing put on repeat. And it's going to give this team they ran the ball more than anyone last year by a wide margin. And I think you're going to see that again, obviously, with the addition of Bijan. But he adds an element to the passing game that I don't think anybody's talking about. And I just don't know why. You're talking about a potential Christian McCaffrey type impact as a receiver. And that's going to be a huge part of him and a huge part of this evaluation and a huge part of this offense.
Now, I have Atlanta as far as one of my teams with the Ourlads draft guide, and in my top 3 needs, once you got past quarterback, of course, was, and not in any particular order, was offensive line, defensive line, edge rush, and defensive backfield, and that's exactly what they did. They went offensive line twice, they went defensive backfield twice, and they grabbed an edge rusher. Now you can say what you want about whether you like Zach Harrison or not. That's a different story. Matthew Bergeron, you talked highly about him. They get him in a pretty decent spot because, that's about where you thought he was going to go. He could have landed maybe even late first, so he goes into the second round. They needed a guy that could be an inside guy, and he even gives him versatility. And then one of the steals of the draft. Because, matter of fact, I had his name down on the list, and I think you had him down as a sleeper. Yeah. And you could say steal as well, and that was getting Clark Phillips in the 4th round.
Yeah, I mean, Clark Phillips was one of the top value picks in the draft, and I do think he's going to be their starting nickel from day one. So, and remember, guys, I know not everyone needs a reminder on this, but the nickel is the starting position now. It's 2 linebackers, 3 corners. He's going to be a starter as a day 3 guy, and I believe he'll be a high-level starter. He is as good as he was in college. I think he's going to be just as good, if not better, at the next level if he's put into this role. This is the exact role I'd want him to be in this kind of scheme against the slot with that kind of supporting cast around him. So, my favorite pick, though, even though Clark Phillips did offer the most value from a grade perspective, I'm a huge Matthew Bergeron guy. And we talked about the failed Jalen Mayfield experiment for them.
Yeah.
College tackle that they moved to guard right away, and they just have not been able to figure out that left guard spot. I think Bergeron starts week 1, and he gives them a better left guard play than they had the entire last season. So that's like an immediate upgrade from a rookie that they traded up for, and they introduced him as a guard, not a tackle. So you just know, looking at their depth chart, there's no way he's going to break through at tackle, and there's a huge hole there at guard. So that was one of my favorite picks of the draft. And even though it wasn't a screaming value or sexy pick, I love Bergeron, and I love the fit with Atlanta.
It really solidifies what is, especially if Drew Dahlman can kind of take another step, a very underrated offensive line now. This is a couple of years ago. This was a big question mark for this team. And they've done a really solid job now.
They've done a nice job there. And again, I think that's partially Arthur Smith. I really do.
Absolutely, because there's nobody. The only new guy on the team is Bergeron now. It's just like you said. It's the coaching, not the personnel decisions.
And just the scheme. I think another advantage that we don't talk about often enough, when you are a run-heavy team, it makes life easier for the guys up front. And it makes it from multiple angles. What they have to do, play to pay, the mental responsibilities, but also the defense, what they have to plan for, what they have to account for. So, Bergeron, I like what Atlanta's doing from a macro perspective. A bird's eye lens, every move they made since Arthur Smith has come, it's starting to come together. And this is a division that is so bad. It's there for the taking. So if Ritter can be good enough, this team's going to contend for the division crown.
And let's remember too, they made the late signing to bring in, Calais Campbell. Decided.
Love what they did.
Yeah. So that's
Bud Dupree.
Now, and that was also important because they were, if you look, so that puts them even a little bit ahead of Arizona, because just a month ago, it was basically, you were looking at the early round guys, Ebiketie and Malone, and how they were going to be really important. And well, now they've added another third rounder, Zach Harrison, but Lorenzo Carter resigns, they bring in Ellis, they sign Dupree, and now they have at least the proper edge rushers that you need to run in this defense. And it's just all a matter of hopefully developing some of those guys from last year's draft. And what do you think about Zach Harrison?
Unbelievably gifted. His best tape screams first rounder. There was talk about him being a first round pick after he had a nice stretch of play early in the 2022 season. Inconsistency everywhere. Body type needs a lot of, his body type helps him with the length perspective, but it hurts him from a balance and stability and consistency perspective. Does not have enough body control to be counted on play to play. But if he's put into a very specific role, as a number 3 or number 4 defensive end, and you put him into certain situations where he'll thrive, he'll make a difference on that defense.